Jr. National Memorial in Washington, D.C. honors Dr. King's international contributions and vision for all to enjoy a life of freedom, equality, and justice. Congress passed a joint resolution in 1996 authorizing the construction of the memorial. The MLK Memorial has come about chiefly due to the efforts of the fraternity that Martin Luther King Jr. belonged to. He was a member of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity while in college at Boston University. In 1996, the United States Congress authorized the Secretary of the Interior Alpha Phi Alpha to establish a memorial on the Department of Interior lands in the District of Columbia, giving the fraternity until November 2003 to raise $100 million and break ground. In 1998, Congress authorized the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity to establish a foundation named the Washington D.C. Martin Luther King Jr. National Memorial Project Foundation. To manage the memorial's fundraising and design, Congress also approved the building of the memorial on the National Mall. One of the most prestigious sites remaining on the National Mall was selected for the memorial. The memorial is situated on a 4-acre site along the tidal basin adjacent to the Franklin D. Roosevelt Memorial. The design of the memorial is the result of a very competitive bid process. Over 900 applicants from over 52 countries tried to win the design honor. The designer of the famous memorial is Lee Yixin. Mr. Yixin has won top prizes in the national competitions 3 consecutive years and was recognized as a master sculptor, which came with a lifetime stipend from the Chinese government. He has sculpted over 150 public monuments, including statues of the Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong was a Chinese communist revolutionary and the founding father of the People's Republic of China, which governed as chairman of the Communist Party of China from its establishment in 1949 until his death in 1976. This was a great controversy around the decision by many critics, including the world-renowned poet Maya Angelou. The disputed inscription was a paraphrase from King's drum major speech reading, "I was a drum major for justice, peace, and righteousness." Critics argued that the quotation was taken out of context when it was paraphrased and shortened. Poet Maya Angelou said that it made King sound arrogant. The designer and his team then had to go back and remove the quotation and re-engrave the quotation on the statue to make it look like the quote had never been engraved. The changes cost between $700,000 and $800,000. No taxpayer dollars were used for the repairs. Despite this change, the location and position of this memorial is remarkable. The address for the memorial has special significance. This street address is in reference to the 1964 Civil Rights Act, adding to the location as an important part of the memorial's design. The cherry trees are positioned to bloom in a particular spot so as to cause the effect that Martin Luther King Jr. is gazing upon them. The centerpiece of the memorial is a 30-foot statue of Dr. King. His body is carved into the Stone of Hope, which emerges powerfully from 2 large boulders. The 2 boulders represent the Mountain of Despair. The boulders are split in half to give away the Stone of Hope, which appears to have been thrust forward toward the horizon in a great monolithic struggle. The Stone of Hope and the Mountain of Despair together represent the soul-stirring words from Dr. King's history-making speech. On the visible side of the Stone of Hope, the text from King's famed 1963 speech is cut sharply into the rock. Out of the Mountain of Despair is a Stone of Hope. Every visitor enters to the Mountain of Despair and tours the memorial as if moving through the struggle that Dr. King faced during his life. Visitors end in the open freedom of the plaza. The solitary Stone of Hope stands proudly in the plaza where the civil rights leader gazes over the tidal basin toward the horizon, forever encouraging all citizens to strive for justice and equality. Opened 48 years after Dr. King's famous "I Have a Dream" speech on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, Washington, D.C. welcomes another great leader to the National Mall. It is the first major memorial along the National Mall to be dedicated to an African American and a non-president. A visit to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial is a must-see on any trip to the nation's capital.